Okay, your website and your sales sheets are two of the things that are most likely to be seen early on by your reality changers. So let's hope that you've got those under control. In this video, we're going to talk about your social media, and then in the next video, we're going to talk about grassroots campaigning. If you use these methods correctly, you can clearly define your target audience, and as a result, build a following of fans and customers that'll stay with you forever. Allow me to remind you that the point of these videos is to connect you with a reality changer. That is, a manufacturer's rep or product expert who already has connections inside major retail chains. There are literally hundreds of social media networks and platforms. How do you choose the ones that are going to be most effective for you? Here, we're going to go through some of the major networks, explain their advantages, and define how they may be useful to your product placement process. However, don't even think about starting on a social network unless you're going to keep it updated regularly, which means at least daily. There is nothing worse than going to a website, seeing a bank of social media links at the bottom, only to find out that none of them are being updated. Listen, if you don't stay excited about your product, no one else will either. Demographics is an extremely important factor in any social media effort. For example, if you're on Facebook promoting a business-to-business product, that isn't going to be nearly as effective as if you were on LinkedIn. Twitter's audience, for example, is 70% women. So if you're promoting apparel or jewelry, great decision. But if it's automotive products, probably not so much. A simple Google search for social media demographics will pull up a plethora of information that you can sift through for days or weeks. In this video series, I'm talking to people who are trying to place all sorts of products, from consumer goods to business and even industrial items. The correct combination of social media is a practice of putting together mundane elements in order to produce pure gold. At the same time, without proper research and planning, you could waste a ton of money, energy, and time posting your products on a social media network where your target audience doesn't even exist. Choosing the right social networks is a matter of demographics. Hopefully, at this stage, you went through the value proposition exercise we talked about in the first video, which should allow you to describe your target customer with a high degree of accuracy. When I used to own my rep firm, we sold to a chain of stores called Anna's Linens, and the buyers there referred to their customer demographic in third person in a very unique way. They would say things like, "A customer at Anna's Linens is in her late 40s or early 50s and has a couple of adult children. She's really into family and probably is enjoying her first grandchildren at this point. Either in the workplace or at home, she is working full-time and very busy. Her husband makes more than $60,000 a year and has been at his job for more than a decade." This, of course, brings me to the question, how well do you know your customer? Social media is about demographics, plain and simple. You need to know or highly suspect who your demographic is before you start into social media, and then only on networks that really fit your target audience. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top networks, but remember at this point, there are more than 500. So while Facebook is the king overall, your particular product or niche might be really popular on a smaller or more obscure network. A good strategy might be for you to choose the 3 networks that most closely fit your customer demographic and start there, or even just one. Then in the future, you can add more networks as you see success, which means sales from your original efforts. Just like with every other marketing effort you are making, all of your social media needs to match your branding, and all of your social media efforts across every network should match each other. A good idea is an iconic logo that you use on each and every post in the same colors and at proportionally the same size. Your end users should always be able to recognize your posts from this stamp or watermark. You'll see the majority of big social media influencers doing this very thing. You can also create post templates, whereas your posts have a unique look and feel to them always. You'll want to try and use the same social media name across all your networks if possible. Because there are so many folks in the market now, it may be challenging, but try to keep them as similar as possible. Here are a couple of tools that will help with this process and can check a name across hundreds of social media sites to see if it's been used already. What wins in social media is engagement. If people are engaging with your posts, that's what you're after. Instagram leads the pack with over 4% average post engagement. That's about double that of Facebook. To me, the number one takeaway from this fact is that natural and lifestyle photos and videos will engage more than straight product promotion. Let me say this another way. If you narcissistically put up multiple posts a day about your product, about new releases, about discounts, promotions, whatever, you're going to severely limit your social media success. However, if you post about the lifestyle that goes with your product, if you show your product in very natural environments, and you include elements of your company's culture, vision, and values, this gives people something to follow, something they can believe in. If you just post, "Here I am, buy my stuff," you're going to fail. To really engage users, you have to make them feel like they are in it with you. 57% of Facebook users state that, quote unquote, too many promotions is the most annoying thing to them about commercial pages. Remember when we talked about there being a story behind your product? Let's hope that story is a good one, because social media is the place to tell it. A recent survey showed that social media users were most interested in posts that were honest, friendly, helpful, and funny. Your goal is to build social media pages where users can find engaging and interesting content that also sells and promotes products. If you create pages that sell products but also sometimes include helpful content, they're likely to fail. Please keep remembering that people want to buy a story and not just a product. Another great place to put your story is in the bio section on your pages. Don't ignore this. In fact, every single detail on every single account should be complete without exception. What does it tell manufacturers, reps, or reality changers when they see that your bios haven't been completed? Maybe that you're off selling real estate or working at the Apple store. Anything but trying to place product at retail. For goodness sake, stay on topic. If you sell automotive products, then don't be talking about hunting and fishing. If you sell kitchen tools, then don't be talking about gardening unless it's really, really relevant. Keep your audience highly targeted. This is what makes it valuable. Do not post photos of your pet or your car or your apartment or the party you had last Friday night unless it's completely and utterly relevant to your product. And for goodness sake, don't post about religion or politics unless you want to polarize your audience and alienate a big group of the population at large. In the beginning, it can be a challenge to get followers. One of the best ways for you to do this is to participate in other companies' social media by interacting on their posts. You can also interact in groups that are related to your product or industry with genuinely helpful content. This is absolutely not a license to spam. Don't be just dropping links to your product on social media comments. You'll enrage people instead of engaging them. But when you're starting out, you'll find this is a very effective way to get some highly targeted followers. We talked in our last video about your call to action. What is it you specifically want people to do when they are on your website? Your social media works the same way. What is your call to action? Most people watching this video series are just headed down the road to product placement and really need sales. Therefore, the call to action on your social media needs to get them back to your website where they place an order. Keep this in mind always. You should be producing content that makes people want to see more of what you're about and visit your website. This is why we talked about your website first. It needs to be right. If it isn't, then you shouldn't be involved in social media yet. I see a staggering number of folks who think that their Facebook page can double as their website. If you do this, forget about retail placement. As a rep, when I see this, I know that no matter what the product is, the company isn't ready for placement. your reality changer is going to see it the same way. Remember, our topic here is product placement, so the following information about specific platforms is provided for that purpose. If you're going to do your own social media, then you seriously need to study and keep up with what's happening. Please consider that this is a task that is best delegated while you grow your brand. Facebook has more than 2 billion monthly users and is far and away the social media leader. For most brands, especially consumer product, Facebook is a must. The only thing that outpaces it is YouTube, which is an entire other animal. Just about any audience demographic can be found on Facebook, which now makes it more popular for highly targeted advertising than even Google AdWords. Of the US population in general, 74% of women and 62% of men use Facebook. In total, it's 68% of adults in the US are using Facebook in one form or another. Other than on YouTube, the greatest number of adult United States users are on Facebook. Even more interesting is that 75% of online users earning more than $75,000 a year use Facebook, a seriously helpful demographic for just about anyone in the product business. Shopify recently published some data that showed that 85% of the orders coming into their platform from social media came from Facebook. The bottom line is that Facebook cannot be ignored. You must have a plan for Facebook. However, Shopify also reported that in specific categories like home and office furnishings, giftware, lawn and garden, that Twitter was still producing a significant amount of orders. Pinterest, for example, was better for books and magazines, and Reddit was one of the leaders for consumer electronics and appliances. Again, you cannot ignore Facebook. Your social media strategy needs to start here, but you should also not ignore where your category or industry may be more prevalent. Here's some social media truth. You're likely going to need to pay for targeted ads. Organic reach for social media posts on Facebook has dropped over 70% in the last 3 years and will continue to erode. There is too much content being produced for even a fraction of it to be shown organically. We own a Facebook page with more than 250,000 likes that costs more than $150,000 to create. If we post something really exceptional, we'll reach about 25 or 30% of our audience naturally. The good news is that Facebook ads work. You can really specifically target your market, and the ads perform economically when done correctly. Remember that you aren't after likes and shares. You are creating specific brand awareness and sales. What you really want is a response from a very targeted group of people, and Facebook can help you find them. I've personally been involved with buying and managing more than $250,000 in Facebook ads, and let me say, a social media expert or service is just cheaper. Facebook can quickly become a full-time job. There are a lot of social media contractors these days who will maintain your ads and pages inexpensively. Consider it. Many times it's worth it so you can focus on other brand building activities. Next to Facebook, Instagram is one of the most popular overall, with the most time spent on the network. It is a platform that is entirely driven by photo and video images. This is where you can showcase your product in real life situations, and this is the kind of content that most users want to engage in. Okay, seriously, you need professional photos. Don't be a cheapskate in this area. Every moment of every day, keep saying to yourself, what will my reality changer think of this media? Remember that when I say reality changer, what I'm talking about is a manufacturer's rep or a product expert that has direct connections inside major retail chains. Instagram has the highest engagement rate of any platform. So think of Instagram and Facebook of going together hand in hand. For most brands, these are going to be the two that you cannot ignore. Instagram also has a higher conversion rate for sales than competitive platforms like Polyvore and Pinterest. It also produces a higher ticket average sale. Shopify noted that the average sale from Facebook was $55, while it was $65 from Instagram. That's a 20% uptick. If you're in any industry related to lifestyle, and I'm talking about health and beauty, sports and fitness, diet and nutrition, exercise, pets, travel, etc., then your content has to be stellar because you can be sure that your competition is taking advantage of this medium. Your profile is very important on Twitter because a lot of times it's how people decide to follow you or not. Study your competitors' profiles who are successful and see if you can determine what information it is that causes people to follow them. If you're going to do Twitter, you need to post several times a day. Make sure you're ready for this and have content to do so. Again, valuable content, not just product offers. You need to be following lots of other folks who are related to your product category or industry. And you need to be liking, sharing, and commenting on posts regularly. This is how a Twitter account is built. Twitter chats are a great place to meet and work with influencers that can seriously accelerate your Twitter marketing efforts. If you're continually adding value, you can be asked to be a guest, which can rapidly increase your following. Just like with every other platform, add value first to the consumer and then attempt to sell them something. Otherwise, you're no better than a beggar on the street saying, "Give me money," and that's old and boring. Lastly on this subject, Twitter is most effective when connected to a blog. A short teaser post on Twitter takes them back to your blog where they are engaging with you at a deeper level. I personally enjoy LinkedIn more than the other platforms because you're dealing with business people who tend to be more sensible than the general public. If you have a product that is clearly an item useful in a business environment, then take a look at LinkedIn. Just like Facebook, there are some excellent targeted marketing advertising options that will pay off. I work personally with a world-renowned SEO expert who always says to me, if you can do it through LinkedIn, then forget about the rest. For business-to-business marketing, they are the winner, hands down. I want to wrap this video up by talking about YouTube, which has an even greater reach than Facebook, but of course is a video-only platform. For most new brands just starting out, producing videos can be a daunting task. When I first started producing videos, I hired a staff of 3 people to help me produce them. After observing them for a while, I decided that I could probably do it myself quicker and cheaper and in better quality, and so I decided to teach myself, and I did. I said all that to say, it's easier than you think. Video works better than any other sort of marketing these days. With a little planning, a person in their home can create excellent, near professional looking videos with a cell phone. Most computers these days come with some sort of easy movie editing software that can be learned quickly if you put your mind to it. Shortly, the whole world is going to be a video-only place. On every single social media platform, from Facebook to Instagram to Twitter and yes, YouTube, video outperforms every other kind of post. So ignore this advice at your own peril.